Sheesh. Sorry, my mic might be kind of loud. I'm still figuring it out. What's good, guys? What's up, everybody? Gonna give it a few minutes before we start to let everybody get a chance to come in that wants to come in. My day's been pretty chill. It's been pretty relaxing. I woke up probably like 2 hours ago-ish. And I've just been setting up for the stream, making sure everything's good. What's poppin'? This is Yohas, by the way. On the beat. Alright, let's switch tabs real quick. How's it going, everybody? You're officially live, and I've commandeered the discipleship for today. Yes, sir. Got my Red Bull. I've got the project open. So far, so good. All right. So today we're going to be breaking down Iris off of the new EP. I'm going to pull the Twitch stream up on my phone real quick because I don't have two monitors and I would like to look at chat. So give me a sec. My volume's down. Cool. All right. So I love a good random stream. Yeah, we this was kind of last second ish. I'm glad I'm getting to do it because I love Disciple and I really wanted to do a stream with them. So this is pretty cool. But so yeah, today we're gonna be breaking down Iris. I'm gonna play the track at least through the first drop, and if anybody has any initial questions, I'll go over it. Otherwise, we'll just start picking apart the song-ish. Let's do this. Also, I don't know what the heck is going on over here and why it's giving me so much space. Yeah. Okay. This is Iris. This is what the project looks like. You just finished your first EP? That's Poggers. Congrats, dude. That is probably way too loud. I'll turn it down on Streamlabs real quick. Check levels. Okay, we're good. What's up, Grant? So, yes, that is Iris in its semi-entirety. Where did I get the vocals from? I actually believe I got them from a Kara sample pack that is on Splice. Yes, it is a Kara sample pack. Originally, this was supposed to have a feature on it. I was going to outsource for my own vocals that I would have recorded for this track specifically. But I ended up putting this in as a placeholder, and it worked so well I couldn't hear the song without it. So, yeah. Shout out Kara. I used another Splice sample pack, the Milk sample pack for Radiant, or Disrupt, actually. So shout out Splice, too. Also, hi Grant, hi Austin, hi Alice, and hello Maya. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate it. It's good to see some familiar faces in here. Anyways, so yes, this is Iris. And sorry for having the automation open. Just wanted to show that off a little bit. If anybody has any questions, y'all can start asking them. Otherwise, I'm just going to start tearing this apart a little bit. Not really too much to this track. This is actually one of the smaller ones in the EP. Which is weird because there's a lot of shit going on. Like, we're capping at 49. We hit 49 tracks total in this song. And I think that Wraith is at like 60 or 70. Disrupt is also at like 60. But yeah, so this is one of the smaller projects in the EP. But all the tracks, I think I condensed quite a bit. And there's a ton of layers going on in order to make the drop sound like it does. I guess the color base drop. Yo, what's up, Mad Gun? What's up? Hi, everybody. Hi, Mac. Hi, Loverboy. How's it going, y'all? So yeah, intro, pretty simple. I wanted to go for this like ambient sort of lead in, so I have like the little, you know, the tight little VR swoosh impact thing. Oh, I'm soloing something. And I have an ambient loop playing that I use throughout the song because it just sounds really pretty, and all I did was I made it in key. But then I have some really ravey arpeggiating going on. I really love that whole trance style arpeggiation and synth production. I use it a lot in my tracks. How long have I been producing? That is a good question. I have been producing since... Damn, it's been like 10 years now? 9 or 10 years. I think I started either in 2011 or 2012 officially. I was still in high school as a baby. I don't think I've always been taking it seriously, but I don't think I started actually honing in on a project until about 4 years ago, though, when I started Sora. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and it took me the longest time to actually commit to music, but here we are. Sora is about 4 years old now, but I started producing in 2011 or 12, and at first I was making, I started off making progressive house, and then switched to Tear Out, back when Tear Out was not called Tear Out. So like the whole robo step, metal step thing, DJasta vibes, old school J Phelps, that kind of thing. And then I found an Infect video on Graham Greene's channel a long time ago when he played in like Montreal or something, and I started making rhythm like 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah, shout out Robo Step, Transformer Step. I don't know if y'all remember DJasta too much, because I know he's kind of an old head, but he is making a comeback. I did see a tweet. Infect is the GOAT. I love Infect. Anyways, yes, shout out Sadu, shout out there was another one. 12 Gauge, back before they became never mind, I don't think I should talk about that. Shout out 12 Gauge, shout out Sadu, shout out Moth. All those boys making like crazy Tear Out before Tear Out was ever popular. So we have this build, tiny build into the first verse where the vocals come in, and all I do is filter in my main melody pattern, my main lead, which is actually a sample of a music box, starts to come in, and then I also have my main arpeggiating layer, the lower layer, come in before the other layers add in. So we have the slower pattern, and then we have the really energetic one. And this is a pretty simple ARP, to be honest. There's not really too much going on. It just, bass notes follow the bass, and the pattern pretty much stays the same on top, because that repetition becomes something that you can sing along to, and it goes really well with the vocals. So then we have a sub. That's actually just a detuned saw with a little bit of distortion, I believe. Actually, no distortion. So it's just the detuned saw with the low pass filter. And then we have a pad come through. And then this goes into the build. So you get about, 8 bars worth of verse, and then it goes into the build from there. And for the build, I have... Oh, sorry. I don't know if my mic is coming in. But for the build, I have... my favorite part was the vocal chops that I have layered on top of the main synth in the color bass drop. Because at first, I didn't like them. And they sounded kind of shitty. But after tweaking them quite a bit and processing them quite a bit, they actually sounded pretty fire in the final. And really what I wanted them to do was I wanted them to pulsate with the lead a bit, because I felt like with just this little 8-bit lead that I have, it was too empty. Like with the sub, so there's quite a few layers in the drop, but my favorite layer is this vocal chop. And then we have layer number 1 in the drop is going to be these chord stacks. Really cheesy, but you can barely hear them in the drop, and that barely hearing them. Hey Aura, how's it going? Also, hello. Sorry, your name is in black on my Twitch, on my phone. I can barely read it, but hello. How's it going, y'all? They have a couple of cool layers here going on in the drop. We have this chord stack that's really corny. We have the vocal chop, and then we have a flute layer that also kind of sounds like a vocal. And then we have this layer as well. Just a chopped up version of the music box that I had playing. That has some basic processing on it just to give it a little bit of room and bring it up in the mix a little bit with some compression and stuff, some OTT. But yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on. And then I have that atmosphere loop being auto panned. So it because I don't have LFO tool. This is my workaround, was the auto panned. Just going in and out, pretty cool. And then I have the sub layer that plays its own melody. So there's a bunch of different melodies that are sort of conflicting, but not really, because they still follow each other, but not the same. That's my sub. And then I have this little thing. Because pretty accent. I'm gonna play the drop through a little bit, and if anybody has any questions on processing or arrangement or anything like that, y'all can and feel free to ask me. All right. Let me turn my mic back up. How did I make the main lead? So I have okay, please don't judge me. I like to use a lot of weird plugins, especially for making pretty stuff. And this is the plugin I used for the main lead. Holy shit. Did y'all hear that thunder? My whole house just shook. What the... okay, so if the stream cuts out, I apologize. But I guess it just started storming. Anyways, so I have this little plugin called Magical 8-Bit Plugin 2 that lets you cycle through a noise oscillator, a triangle, and a pulse square, which is just a saw square. And you can choose, I guess duty stands for the actual wave shape. And if I cycle through them, I'm going to make this less loud for a sec. Do this. Bring the group down a little. And then we'll solo. So you can get some pretty cool sounds, and then you have like your pitch bend. So this controls like, I have it doing this like attack thing. So it's going up 17 semitones or whatever, and then it's like a really short time. So if you were to picture a serum, it would be the same as putting a little LFO. Storming in Florida right now? Yeah, dude. I don't know what is up with these storms in Texas. Okay, so got a couple other questions. I'm going to go through those in a sec. Let's finish going over the main lead first. So it's a really simple patch. I have the sustain all the way up. I have it doing a little pluck action at the beginning of the sound, and then a tiny bit of vibrato was used, and then I ended up cutting it and using it later on, I think. Processing wise, I just cut the lows, added a little bit of OTT on it to bring it up, time all the way up because I don't want all those artifacts. And then I have chorus. The Yo Man preset is pretty cringe, but it's also pretty useful as well. Reverb transitions are so clean. Oh, you mean like the reverb throws? I can show those off in a sec. And then my favorite plugin of all time for processing is Valhalla Freak Echo. It is a frequency shifter and delay at the same time. With the shift knob, you can actually change, what frequency you're shifting to. But the way it reacts to the sound isn't like a traditional frequency shifter because it's delayed. So you still get the actual sound, but then it follows with a delay, depending on how you set it up, of the sound that's frequency shifted. And that's what gives it that tail. So if I turn it off, you'll hear it. So there's a tail end. And I just thought that was super cool. And then I cut the lows again. But that's pretty much it. I'd say that the attack with the pitch bend at the very beginning of the sound gives it the most amount of character, because it sounds more like a pluck. I think the most annoying part about this song in general was doing all of this shit by hand, all of this MIDI. But you gotta suffer for your art. So all right, let me look at these questions. The lead sound is it's like a square saw. That's all it is. The processing is really simple. In the second drop, though, I go to the second drop, and I go to the second drop's sound. It sounds different because there's more chorus on it. So it's way wider. This one's set to 60. The other one's set to 33. It's just way wider, and the chorus is acting like a detune to a certain extent. How do I master? Know very little about producing. The layers coming together so sick to me. Yeah, the layers thing is very important. You want to make sure that your song sounds full but not messy. So playing around with layers is very important, I'd say. Probably the most important when building a drop. How am I mastering? That's a good question. So I have a preset that I use. I master with Ozone. I have a little dynamics, excitement, exciter, an imager that's barely doing much. This is a limiter. They call it a maximizer, but it's a limiter. That's being absolutely fucking slammed. And then a cleanup EQ. I also have a tiny bit of OTT to make it, how do I explain? The OTT is meant to make everything sound cohesive-ish. So it just kind of makes, it smooths the sound out just a tiny bit. And then I have a transient master to bring, to make the track a little bit more punchy and then bring it up a bit, in volume. That is my master. You use any dynamic EQ for ducking and stuff in the mix? Actually, I don't. I've been getting into that recently with some of my newer songs, but I'm still very new on how dynamic EQs even work. So it's been more of an experimental thing, but I have none in this track. So, oh, let's talk about the reverb throws. Let me pull up the automation real quick. We go to the first drop. I have this drop group, and then I have another group with processing on the entirety of all my bass sounds and stuff, and that main lead. But I have a washout, which is really simple. This little audio effect rack is insanely simple to make and use. It is literally just a simple way to make reverb throws, but you could easily do this on anything. This is just a bit more technical. But if I open up the automation, you can actually see what I'm doing here. So for the build up, I do this quite frequently. I have it set to max reverb, and I have it bring down so that as it comes in, the build up starts to come in full swing. You hear the song, the main synths, or whether they be basses or like this one with the lead, they start to come in from the back and around you, and then they all come together in this dry lead here up at the front. And then throughout the track, I have these little reverb throws where I'm just taking it from 0 to max really quickly and then cutting it completely so there's a bunch of space. And this works really well when you have a single hit and then nothing afterwards. So, for example, you can barely hear it, but that adds a lot. If I bring up the automation, you can see it a little bit better. You can hear it a little bit better, I mean. But yeah, and then for the second drop, I did a fake out where I had the first hit and then it filters in, the reverb comes in pretty hard, and then the sound actually cuts out completely here where I have the little Yosh sample. And then the reverb is almost at max and then cuts completely at the clap. But yeah, that's how you reverb throw. You basically just set an automation to your dry wet of your reverb, and you can add all this other stuff. This just filters in, like I have a high pass filter, an EQ that comes in or gets automated with everything else, some delays and stuff. But you could easily just slap on any reverb that you like, automate the dry wet from 0 to 100 really quickly, and just like this, and you make a reverb throw. That's pretty much it. Let me see. Yeah, I'm really big on frequency echo. Okay, if you were showing the plugin, I couldn't see it if you were. Oh, no. Let me see. It might be because I'm streaming the window and not the actual. Here, I'm gonna go back to the screen real quick and stream the desktop. Give me a sec. Go do display capture, and I'm gonna fit it to the screen. And let me check and see if you can actually see the plugins and stuff. I use a lot of Ableton stock plugins, but that frequency echo is my fucking absolute shit. Sick animation? Yeah. Shout out Tinka on Instagram. He made this for me. And it's fucking awesome. Okay, I'm gonna switch screens. You're gonna see OBS do the weird million times thing. My face again, and then we should be good. I'm just gonna have it on my phone real quick to make sure that you can actually see the plugins and stuff. Which anime did I sample for Yosh? That is actually a sample from, I believe, a Zelda game. Let me pull it up here in a sec. I'm just trying to make sure that you can actually see. Okay, yeah, you can see my plugins now. Yeah, shout out Freak Echo. Let me see. Made a bird sound out of a fucking sub using free. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. Okay, let me pull up this sample. I use the Yosh sample in almost every song that I make. I'm trying to make that my thing. Nobody is allowed to copy me, but I will show you what I got it from. Yes. So I have a pack that's like 120 gigs or some crazy ass shit. Of like nothing but video game samples from different video games. And this one happens to be from Hyrule Warriors, I guess. Yes. And as you can tell, I use these samples a shit ton. I have a bunch of Smash Bros samples. I got a lot. There's a lot. But I use these a lot, especially the Hyrule Warriors pack that I have, because I have like every single character, and they all have these really cool chants and like hits and stuff that I end up using a lot. Take it easy, Rasnus. You spelled Kara right, by the way. An issue I've been having is muddiness, even though I always make sure anything is not clashing. Muddiness for what? Like your mix in general is muddy, or like you're having specific sounds that turn out to be muddy. Because there's a couple of different things that could, oh Jesus. There's a couple of different things that could be causing your muddiness. One of them being frequency issues, like you said, like EQing and stuff. Could be phasing issues. A lot of it does come down to EQing. It could also be overuse of distortion. Distortion on too many things. Distortion on, things that have multiple voices. These could all cause muddiness. I would say if you're looking for like an all-around tip on how to decrease muddiness, yeah, definitely check 200, anywhere between like 150 and 500 hertz. That's where you're going to get most of your frequencies at. So cut what you don't need out of every sound, like straight up. No matter what, you're going to want to low pass everything that's not a sub sound or something that's not a deep bass sound. Because the more frequencies that are in the same area that overlap each other, the more distortion you're going to get, the more frequency cancellation you're going to get. Like, it's going to be muddy. So you just have to be really surgical with EQs and, be tasteful with the processing that you do use, because the more you do, the more muddy it's going to sound. Hearing it on my phone, it sounds horrible. Well, phones are fucking trash. Phone speakers are horrible, regardless. I've heard really perfect mixes on my headphones and on systems that sound like complete garbage coming out of SoundCloud on my phone, so. But also, yes, make sure if you can, this is a hard topic to cover because I am the same way. I don't have a great setup. I normally either mix on my HyperX headphones, or I mix on, I have another pair of studio headphones behind me, but I don't really like using them because they're kind of too big for my head. But I'm also a broke college student, and I know that not a lot of people have access to the best equipment. So if I were to suggest anything, if you have to make music on laptop speakers, try to reference the song in your car as much as possible. Reach out to friends who might have better setups. Save up for better equipment over time type of deal, because I know how it is. It might not be your specific situation. You might be able to just go to Best Buy and pick up a pair of headphones or whatever, but or go to Sam Ash or Guitar Center or whatever you have wherever you're at and just pick up headphones or studio monitors or whatever. But if you're limited to the stuff that you do have, definitely I would recommend using headphones over anything. Studio monitors are great, but they also have a way of deceiving you when you're mixing. Headphones are very high fidelity, I feel like. They're very true to sound. So they translate to different systems fairly well. And a lot of headphones actually have guides on how they do interpret mixes. So if there is some sort of frequency bias, like they have like more low end than normal, or there's less low end and more top end, like they actually will list that in most of the manuals depending on where you're getting them from. So do I prefer open back headphones or closed back headphones? I've been using closed back for the longest. I know open back are like, what's the word? They are known for being better, I guess. Open back headphones are known for being better for mixes, but I have DT990 Pros actually behind me. They're good headphones. Just, I don't know, studio headphones in general. There's a couple of different companies, Bear Dynamic, Audio Technica, stuff like that. Just do your research. I don't know which one's better. I know that open back has been said to be better by the majority, but but also there's rules that you can follow, right? There are things that you can follow that are just like rules of thumb that will sort of lead your mix in a good direction, whether you're on laptop speakers or fucking inside of a multi-million-dollar studio. Like, cut the low end on shit you don't need low end on. Look for resonant frequencies in like above 1K and cut them out. Cut out the harsh frequencies where you can. Stuff like that. Be aware of the frequency space that the instrument that you're using should take up, and just keep track of how you're EQing everything, and you should be fine. And again, reference on different systems as much as possible. Because what sounds good on your headphones might sound like shit in the car, and what sounds great in the car might sound shit on a system. So the more you reference through different means, the better it'll sound. Just checking how long we've been live. Or phone a friend, yeah. Big time. Sorry. The most annoying part about using the frequency echo is that clicking sound is the echo for some reason. Messing with this beef rack that I have and feeding into a bunch of OTTs that then take those artifacts that are just sitting there in what would normally be silence and bringing them to be the loudest thing on the planet. But I kind of want to go over this second drop because there's a couple of techniques I used, or the second half of the first drop and beyond. What's good, Embedo or Embedo? But yeah, there's something that I want to go through on this like heavier bass drop of the song real quick, and that's gonna be how I literally used one sound for it. One main synth, and then I think a couple layers, but like that main synth is carried throughout the whole thing. But I did some cool stuff with it, so I'm gonna play it and then I'm gonna go over it. As you can hear, that annoying ass clicking sound is coming from these two synths that have a lot going on. But the majority of that clicking sound actually comes from both Valhalla frequency echo and then disperser. If I turn them off, it won't exist anymore. You won't even be able to hear the clicking. This synth gets used in the second half, but you turn them back on, you can hear it. It is the most annoying thing to do when you're going through the loop or this song section multiple times. So as I'm producing this and I keep clicking spacebar, all I hear is click, 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 tap, tap, and it's the most annoying shit to deal with. But let's go over the sounds, I guess. Solo, the drop. So this these bass sounds, what's my sidechain method? That's a good question, actually. Here, let me show you real quick because it's super simple. So I have a compressor, Ableton stock compressor. I have the sidechain on, and then I have a sidechain channel that I have a ghost kick on that's routed to that compressor. And then I have these settings. And that gets copied and pasted to every major group. So as you can see, the melody group, effects group, doesn't really matter because it's so quiet. Everything is at like fucking -16, -18, 13. They're so quiet, they don't really need to be sidechained too much. And plus, all of my effects pretty much sit, except for this one little impact that I use, sit really high up in the frequency range, so they don't really come in contact with the drums too much. Would I recommend a gaming laptop or a MacBook for music? If you play a lot of video games, you can make music on a gaming laptop with no issue. I personally would rather use a MacBook and just game on a PC, because MacBook has I learned initially how to produce on a Mac, and it's also way better for, especially the newer Macs are way better for other content as well. So if you do a lot of graphic design or video editing, you can do them pretty well on a MacBook. It beat. I like Mac. I like them both. I think PC is great for everything, but I think that Mac is better suited for music production. Anyways, let's go over these bass sounds real quick, and then I'll go back to looking at questions. I have to turn on. Where did I mute this shit? Stuff. Bear with me on the clicking. So processing wise, it's pretty simple. Just kidding, it's not. It's a bunch of bullshit. But I have this crazy patch that I made. With a bunch of processing inside of Serum, and then outside of Serum, it's being vocoded. It has an ensemble, which is basically just a fancy chorus, disperser, and 2 fucking OTTs because I'm extra. And from this sound, I built pretty much every other sound. If I could solo them and play them. And then what I did afterwards was I rendered it. And in Ableton, there is a mode for audio warping called texture that allows you to do granular synthesis without a VST. And it is probably the most fucking insane trick I've ever learned for making cool bass fills. And I will demonstrate. So basically, if I take this, and I copy it, and I reset it to what it was, which was, I think, the song was at 150. Put the grain size back down to whatever. And I solo this track, and I play the sound, right? Sorry, it's being sidechained. Right? It's just the same sound. But if I play it, right, you can get cool patterns, and you can also stretch the shit out of it and manipulate this grain size and the transposition and make really cool fills with it. So if I demonstrate, you bring the transpose up, the grain size down, and the flux down. And you can get really cool sounds with this. And you can automate all this shit. I fucking forgot what it was set at. But you can automate all that stuff. And go in and make really crazy fills depending on, you just basically bounce the sound. And then render it to audio, and then you can stretch it using this little segment BPM. And then the more you fuck with these 3, grain size, flux, and transposition, the cooler that the fill will sound. And it all depends on how much you stretch it. So whatever tempo you have it set to. It's awesome. Yeah, granular synthesis fills have been my shit for the longest time because they make sure that the fills are cohesive to the sounds of the actual drop because they are made from the drop. but at the same time, you get really crazy patterns that you couldn't necessarily get with MIDI or automation through the VST because they have things like, this whole restart thing. So when you do this, they have phase restart, depending on how you set this up. And I have my random at 100% most of the time. So, like, if you bring up the LFO on the thing, or you bring up the rate on the LFO, it doesn't sound like it would if you have some sort of granular synthesis like resampling going on. You get really cool fills from it, and they're different every fucking time. That is probably the Yoast sample and using frequency echo are like probably my biggest like under the belt tricks. Like they're the things that I hold closest to me and I do quite frequently in all of my songs. And then I have some some layers here that I think I'm using. So this is for tonality, and then this one has the frequency echo for groove. So it has this like sort of offbeat echo behind the sound. And if I mute the frequency echo, you'll hear what this is what gives the drop groove. And this gets automated actually. So if I go here, and I go to the frequency echo automation, you'll see that I automate the delay time and the shift. So for the second half of this bass drop, it'll go up in pitch and the delay will be tighter. So instead of it being the pattern that it is, it actually comes closer to a quarter note. And you can get some really cool patterns with that. Where do I find the All Pass plugin? The All Pass plugin. What do you mean? The All Pass, I use the All Passes filter in Serum, if that's what you mean. There's All Passes, combs, and then reverb. That's what get used a lot in dubstep right now in general. How's it going, Cybertron? Sorry I missed your hi. How does the pouch sound without any processing? That is a fucking excellent question. Let me actually go through, and at the end of this chain, right, I have like the main bass group that's affecting pretty much everything, which is just the beef rack distortion group thing. Without any processing, let me go through and show you how shit this sounds. If I turn all of the processing off. Let's do this. This is going to take me quite a bit. So if y'all have any questions, make sure you type them in chat. I'm going to look through them while I'm doing this. Group. And this. I process a lot of stuff the same, to be honest. But yeah, main tips for drops is you can build a lot of cool sounds from one initial patch, and when you do that, what actually ends up happening is that the drop sounds more cohesive. I don't know if anybody else was here for 2011, 2010 dubstep, like bro step, where every like bar there was a different like bass growl or noise. It just sounded like a mess. But when you do it like this, you can process them a tiny bit differently every time, but still get the same cohesiveness that you would. And that's like the biggest tip that I could give you for drop cohesiveness. And that comes from rhythm, like making rhythm. Because a lot of rhythm uses the same sound in these really long drops. But the thing is that you can bring them into like color bass or more bro steppy rhythm stuff. And all it does is make your track make more sense. in the long run. So this is the bass group without any processing. Yeah. Sounds pretty lackluster. Ableton's vocoder. To be honest, I don't really know how to use it either. I have gotten tips on using it before that kind of made sense to me, but vocoding in general just doesn't make sense to me. Basically, for Ableton stock vocoder, when you're looking at it, you look at this like a frequency range, like an EQ. So this, you can shape the sound and take out frequencies that you don't necessarily want, and change how much fine tuning you want with the EQ with this like bands thing. Normally have it set to like 24 or 20. And then the depth is how much it's being affected, how much the sound that you're modulating actually is being affected. And then you can fuck with the dry wet and attack. Basically just mess with these knobs quite a bit and you'll get cool sounds. Also, you can change how much of the frequency range is being affected. You can affect the full from 20 hertz to 18K, but it defaults at 12K and 80 hertz. I would just tweak, have fun with it. That is the biggest tip. It might not always work, and it's not always going to give you the giant squidum bass patch sound that everybody's tweaking about. Which, shout out that song, shout out Hero Bus, that was not a dig. Just saying, like, a lot of people think vocoder is made for making these really transient sounds when initially, or when in all actuality, you can use it for a bunch of different stuff. But just have fun with it. Open it up, play around with it, have a good time with it, and if something cool comes out, then cool. Have I ever used the double Edison method? Nope. Also, yes, there are a bunch of different tutorials on vocoding from a bunch of different producers. Virtual Right goes over the vocoder a bit. Nasco goes over the vocoder a bit. Mr. Bill goes over the vocoder. A bunch of different tutorials and tips are on YouTube. And a lot of these producers stream. I would suggest looking them up because a lot of them are archived on YouTube as well. Oh my god, the modern talking days. It does a thing. That's how most of my sound design is, actually. Sorry, I don't mean to keep spamming you guys with clicks. But a lot of my my sound design for bass sound specifically is just happy accidents. You get a lot and you go really far when you toy around and you have a good time doing it. It's all about making them fit into the song idea later on. That might be a little bit challenging, but that just comes with time, you know? When creating a glitch or synth in Serum, what tips do you give? Would I give? I don't know about glitch, because a lot of my glitches come from just making a bass sound in Serum and then taking it and rendering it to audio and then, you know, doing the granular thing that I suggested earlier that everybody try out. That's how I get a lot of my glitchy synths. You could also go on Splice and look up glitch, and you'll find 13 million examples that you could easily just resample or not. I've heard a bunch of songs that have fucking transforming mechanical glitch layer number 7 in their songs. I've done it. I think it's more fun to resample your own synths and make glitches out of them. But you can easily go on and save yourself some time if you have an idea. Making synths in Serum, though, I would say I wish I had more time to get into this. If y'all are interested, I'm going to be starting up lessons again on the low and for the low. I'm going to be making a post about it later this week. I'm just making graphics and pricing charts and stuff right now currently. But I will be offering in-depth sound design production and mix and mastering lessons here in the near future, and I'll be open for a bunch of new sessions for the low in the coming weeks. But I wish I had more time, but for now I'd say if you're struggling making sounds in Serum, try random stuff. There are a few fundamentals that you can go for, but basically, if you want to make a growl sound, bend plus minus, or asim plus minus, some sort of high pass filter or band pass filter for the vowel sounds, and then just process it to shit. Have a good time. Virtual Riot does good tutorials. ASCO does good tutorials. If I had more time, I would do more tutorials, but today I can't really get too in-depth on stuff because I am limited on the time. But I will be doing lessons here in a bit, so if anybody's interested, DM me. I'll put your name down on the waiting list, and we'll go from there. How did I get signed with Disciple? I've been on their radar for quite a while, I think. Because I had released with them, I had a collab with my best friend and bigger brother, Infinite, that they had taken for one of their compilation EPs a few years ago. And ever since then, I've just been making music and stacking up songs and submitting them when I can. And I guess they liked the EP, and yeah, it was awesome. It really just came. It came off random. I sent it to them. They liked it. And they said, "When can we do it?" And they gave me the date. I wrapped up the EP in a few weeks after that, and it's been a dream ever since. So, shout out Disciple. Much love for them. They're like my favorite label in dubstep right now. They've got a bunch of artists on their label that I absolutely adore, and I've been a huge fan of for years now. So it really is an honor to be on the label. What's up, Known? Hi, how's it going? What do you usually start with when starting a new tune? The intro recently. I used to do drop first, but I've been having more fun writing intros, and I think that's because I've been making a lot of hip-hop beats lately. So my music theory is getting a bit better. And so intros are more fun to write. I've been splitting my process up into 2 parts recently, actually. So I will start most songs with the intro, but I also do have my days where I just sit down and I sound design. So I'll just go into an empty project and make a bunch of cool sounds in Serum or Phase Plant or whatever the fuck, and try some crazy new processing methods that sometimes work, most of the time they don't. But there's always something that comes out of it. I'll save the patch or patches for later use, and here I can actually show you. So I have this folder up here where I put all of my sounds, my newer sounds. So all of these are stuff that I've made in random sound design sessions and then imported into songs later on. So you'll see stuff like Radiant Main, The Fucking Sound, Thunder. So these are sounds that I've used and then processed a bit differently inside of the song and liked how it sounded in the song. So I saved the group. And if I show you, not mean to do that, but if I show you, if I just drop in anything really. See, it'll load my entire rack and all of the processing exactly how I processed it. So if I play it, oops, so load. Sorry, that's probably super loud, but and annoying. But I have this little synth here. That I can use whenever and however I want. So I would suggest, for me, it's easier to write a song idea that I have in my head because I know that the intro is going to take a bit longer to make. And then I can just take sounds that I think will sound cool in the song and drop them in, edit them, arrange them, so on and so forth. So, pretty cool. Yeah, Infinite's awesome. He's very plugged into the underground. I would say Infinite is probably one of the bigger supporters of the underground. And he does look at a lot of smaller artists. And that is actually him. No, and if you're interested in lessons, please by all means hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. Just hop on my DMs, anybody, and we'll put you on the list. Yeah, Close Your Eyes was an awesome tune. I think I still have the project file somewhere. Yeah, I just think I think it's more beneficial for me personally to just build the song idea and the structure before spending 17 years on trying to make sound design fit into something cool. Because if I had the track, like if I just took out the drop and I had just the intro and the breakdown and stuff and some sort of shell, I feel like that gives me more room to interpret and gives me more ideas on how I want the drop to sound later on. Who's my biggest inspiration in music? Currently? Ooh, that's hard. Infect, probably. And for pretty stuff, Infect just in general. Everything he does inspires me to the fullest. And has been for years. Recently I've been getting into pretty music because I used to write pretty music a lot, and I've been doing this whole like anime weeb dubstep thing for like 5 or 6 years now, but yeah, big inspirations are just like my homies because they push me to make pretty music. So shout out people that press me to make pretty music because I love doing it. If I would submit my song to Disciple, do they have a demo submissions? I believe they do. There's an email address on their Facebook, yeah. Oh, for sure. I didn't know that was your at, Kate. I wasn't aware that this was your Twitch handle. Introspection was really cool. Yeah. I don't know if y'all are interested, or not interested, but involved in his Patreon. But he posts a lot of whips and a lot of ideas and unreleased songs, and he also does exclusive releases through Patreon, and those are also fucking awesome. Yeah, shout out Skuro. Shout out all his old music, to be honest. All the old rhythm bangers. But yeah. Does anybody have any questions about Iris that I missed or that you want to ask now? Because I think we're hitting the hour. Yeah, we're at an hour and 6, so I'm probably going to cut this. And then go to my other Twitch channel and stream Apex for a bit. If y'all want to go watch me play Apex, I won't take up any more of Disciple's time. But after this, I'm going to be streaming Apex over on twitch.tv/SoraDubs. If you guys are interested. Here, I'll type it in chat. Oh, I have to do it on OBS. I'm sorry. Oh, my camera died. Oops. I don't know why, but that's been happening a lot lately. Cool. Back. Okay, one last question. Just stream Apex here? Am I allowed to do that? I will gladly do that. Last question. Do you master or mix after producing or during making the song? During. I start with the master chain on the master so that the song is already mastered as I'm making it. And that is very controversial. And a lot of people would disagree with me and say that I shouldn't do that, but also a lot of people would vouch for me. So it's really just up to you. I think that it's easier to see or hear what the finished product is going to sound like while I'm making it. A lot of people would disagree. Also, yes, I do have a Discord server. Sorry, I'm not on 2 monitors, but here, let me do this. And let me link my Discord. It's pretty inactive. I haven't used it in quite a few months. But I'll link it anyways. And if you guys want to hang out in there, I'll pop my head in. Also, yes, I do use FL quite a bit, actually. I use it for a lot of things, whether that be melody writing or... Here, I'm gonna save the project. And... Yes, and we're going to play some Apex for a little bit before I have to get off stream here in an hour or so. But yes, I use FL for melody writing because I love the way that FL's MIDI is set up. And there's a couple of features like the strum and arpeggiator commands that go a long way. I agree with you, Sharks. I think that the end goal is what matters at the end of the day. So it just makes more sense in my head to listen to what it will sound like in the end as I'm making it, because it's just a better reference. But I do understand the logic behind making it sound good without the master and then mastering as a ways to make sure it's all polished and good. Looking forward to the back-to-back with Pyro. Yeah, Houston's gonna go fucking stupid. Houston is gonna go absolutely bonkers. Houston's gonna be a lot of fun. I will also be in Dallas the day before for the other Grime Fest. So if you're there, I'll be there. All right, let me game capture real quick. Done. Okay, so we're gonna play some Apex. If you want to hang out, you can. If not, I totally understand. Apex is kind of lame, and I'm also not that good. But we'll play some ranked and have some fun. Oh, I'm on the wrong Twitch channel. Hey, Texas gang, where my Texas kids at? BS, he's cracked? No. Hey, if you can be a little PG baby, we can play ranked together. Center, Rio. We can hop in a private call and play some ranked on stream real quick. Sinner is my best friend, y'all. I've known him for years. We used to be roommates. He's like a brother to me. We play Apex quite a bit together. I don't know if you're at work or not, though. That's the problem. Oh, the scene. Love you, bud. The scene in Sweden is small? That's actually interesting. I've never heard about the scene in Sweden. My old gamer glasses on. Sorry, my mic is pissing me off. Error coding while you're trying to play a video game. PC build breakdown. I have the shittiest PC on the planet. My specs are garbage. I'm not going over them. I have a good graphics card, and I have a 2 terabyte SSD that I use for my startup. But that's pretty much the only cool things about it. So ranked, babies. If my game doesn't fucking die and completely shit itself, because I pick ranked. I don't know what's been going on with my PC lately, but or if it's just Apex, but been having some issues. If anything, I'll be streaming on my my other account there this weekend. It's okay. It's not great. I guess we're not gonna be able to play today. You guys have GPU? Alright, this will be my last try, and if it doesn't work, we're just gonna end the stream. And again, thank you everybody who came out. Thank you for anybody who tuned in today. Thank you for all the love on the EP so far. It's been fucking awesome. You guys are absolutely insane. And shout out to Texas. Playing a few shows coming up. I'll be in Houston this weekend. I'll be in DC later this month. A couple other stuff that I can't talk about yet, but yeah, again, thank you everybody for all the love and support. And here's to many, many more. Hopefully I'll be with Disciple for a bit. But we'll see. Alright, so that's the 3rd error code. We're going to cut the stream. Again, thank you all for coming. I'm going to play some Hyperpop to bother y'all. Again, love you. Thank you for coming. If you missed the stream, I'm sorry. Again, I'll be running production lessons here in the coming weeks. Just getting everything set up to announce that officially on Friday. If you are interested and you want to hit me up before I announce, because you came into the production stream, you get first dibs. Just DM me. I have a waiting list. I'll be setting up appointments and sessions all throughout the week and coming weeks. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Love y'all. We'll see you on the next one. I will be streaming again this weekend properly on my own Twitch channel, twitch.tv/SoraDubs. Here's the card for that. Thank y'all for coming. Enjoy the music. See ya.
Don't touch me, I'm something real heavy. Switch my heart and this is what I love me. I said I'm with you forever, don't forget me. I spent how much in the county. Hey, you going so cold. So much for the helmet. I just gotta play with the girls, I just tell me. Hey, yeah, so staying out, it's not healthy. I said, no, I'm in the cover, don't make it. You sucking like you caught it, but I know you ain't gon' shit. Tell me what you finna do. Y'all know I'm fuck, cause you said I'm good. Okay, yeah, I fucked it up. I'm in the car. Hey, all these times you play, it was on me. Hey, you get it once, I said, what you want me? And you say you just want to stay, but you're not hurt me. I put her together, cause there's nothing that I can't achieve. Hey, all these times you play, it was on me. Hey, you get it once, I said, what you want me? And you say you just want to stay, but you're